I don't like to ever step on the steps without my shoes off. And
Brother Jim, do we want actual water, or do you want to just?
well, wait. I want to first place. I want to use this stuff. This is a. We do a lot of traveling and doing the Mass elsewhere, and in lots of different places. And having lost so many things, we came up with this system. Do you want to show this shot? Which is a rifle case that has been custom fitted to carry the Mass gear in such a way that everything has a place. And if there, at the end of it, you know, if something is missing, you know it. You're not going to leave it behind. Kind of fun.
And the rifle's underneath all.
Yeah, the rifle. Yeah, my reputation precedes me. Harper, put that on. If you're right-handed, I guess your left side. We're only doing this. The only reason I'm using this stuff rather than your stuff is that I want to. It will just make it easier. I noticed that you didn't have a ewer. You had the font. So let's just do it the way the thing shows, and it's easiest if we do that. And
what's the difference?
the difference is that wherever your ewer is,
What is a ewer?
a ewer is like a cup. There's a ewer and a font. Now the font could be scooped in as a part of this piece of furniture.
Like a bird bath.
Right. It could be a bird bath thing, or it could be like this. And the ewer pours the water into the font, and you pour the font water back into the ewer. I assume that your ewer is somewhere and that it just wasn't on the altar. You must have it. I mean, it's not a question of right or wrong. It's wrong if you don't have it.
So a ewer is a decanter.
We use a conch shell for the ewer.
Oh, that's what the conch shell was for. Okay. All right. Will this one fit? Because this is a really nice one. Where do you put the Book of the Law? Do you put it on this one here or that one up there?
Either one at this point, because we're kind of adjusting our situation.
Does this work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Or this works too. So this is a nice copy. This is the centennial edition of the Book of the Law that was published by the O.T.O. on the 100th anniversary, 2004. It's a lovely copy, and it's got color throughout. It's really pretty. So you have your sword on, and you're comfortable with that. Where does the priestess enter from? Over there?
From here, yes.
Okay. All right. So not this minute, but you're going to be standing behind the red door, okay? And you are going to be holding this, which is going to have salt in it, and that which is going to have water in it. Okay, that's the ewer and the salt. And your task is going to be a little bit more difficult because of the way that we do this. In other words, we use this hanging censer, which is a pain in the ass, but it's very beautiful when you're actually using it. You just have to be careful with how you hold it. If you hold it like that, it will stay really balanced. When you pass it to me, you know, and when I pass it back to you, I'll pass it very carefully also. All right? So you're going to hold this, and the incense is in here, the perfume.
Okay, I'm going to put this to her to hold too.
She's going to hold that, and
Use a cake of light.
you are going to have the script presumably open on your table. Okay, so let's, doing a quick review of the temple, everything is fine. I assume this is holding the cakes of light?
Yes.
Okay, so what I what we've seen in lots of different places is people using all kinds of stuff on the altar. We don't approve of that. You know, the script tells you what's on the altar, it tells you what's on these little altars, so we try to stick with that. And so let's proceed.
Jen,
You are going to be here.
did you want to speak about temple geometry at any point now or before
Okay.
we get started?
Well, you know, all of that stuff, oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. You gotta stand somewhere else. Oh, you're actually the priest. Right.
And we can take this other lance out of here too.
Is that where is it? Oh, well, you can use that. We'll use that. That's fine. Okay. I didn't see it. Okay.
That's a little
Um,
small though, Jim. That lance is a little short for him.
Yeah, you know what, use this. I think you might. I say in the book that the lance. Okay, yeah, that's better height for you. Okay. Sometimes in magic, you know, I would say most of the times in magic, we talk about, you know, the ritual stuff, and you know, you could almost call it props. You know, in a lot of ways, I mean, even though they're sacred objects to you, they're indicative of something. Like your magical dagger, for example, could presumably be sharp or not sharp, depending on your comfort level with weapons or something. I mean, you could make the case that, well, the dagger should be sharp so it'll keep the demons away or something, but it doesn't have to be. In the case of the lance, this thing you're going to hold on to for dear life during the Mass sometimes. Because if you're doing it right, when you're doing it right, not if, when you're actually doing it right, over time, their energy will, you know, you'll need a balance. Okay. So, you're here, the curtain is closed, right over left, your eyes should be closed when you're there, and you are going to be behind the red door,
Along with the
and
child.
the first, who's first?
The negative child is first.
Okay,
And
so you're gonna be in the back.
The thing is, the way this temple is set up, the way they would come in would be the positive priestess and negative. I know that and that was something I was gonna ask you about, just the
No.
way this room's oriented.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay.
Just do what the script says.
Okay.
All right, so you're in the back, you're in the middle, and you're in the front. So go, actually, you know what? You at least walk over there. Where's your incense thing? Didn't I give you?
Yeah, it's in
Yes,
his
sir.
hands.
Oh, don't try to hide that stuff on me, pal. Just remember, I'm watching. All right. Okay. Now, where are the people? They're out in the street.
We haven't started yet, yes, they're outside.
What if it's raining?
They're under the awning.
Okay.
And
Okay.
we're installing benches outside too.
Yeah, you
There'll be
mentioned
two
that.
full-length benches, so there'll be seating and the awning if it's raining.
Okay. This is a perfect example of the kind of temple that I'm talking about in the book, where it is not practical to give the deacons instructions out of the temple, because you're not going to be standing on the street in Atlanta, you know, yakking about signs. What you'll do is, you know, you will bring the people in to the temple before you start the Mass. And what we like to do is we like to have the people come in and be able to sit down. So in this case, you're walking in off the street. You're obviously going to walk in with your shoes on, because you're not standing in the street in a city with your shoes off. So you walk in, maybe you'll take your shoes off at the door and carry them in. You'll put them under your chairs. You want to sit
And
down.
the shelf back here is actually where we're gonna
Okay.
put the shoes.
All right, however you do it, what our point is that we let the people sit when they come into the temple, because there's organizational time. We're trying to make this comfortable. We want to have people come here and have fun, okay? So if you're standing around, you know, if you're the first guy to walk in here and you're standing here and all of a sudden that one has forgotten to put the shoes there and then Zeitlin is doing that, it's a pain in the ass. Sit down, relax, you know, and be comfortable. As soon as everyone is in here, chances are, especially with a growing body like this, that a lot of people are coming for the first time, or some people, or at least one person. So we devised a little pre-mass talk, and this way the deacon is sort of giving everyone the rules. And if in an ideal situation, let's say when if you get the other, when this wall is taken down and you have the whole large space, chances are that he can give that talk inside the doors, outside the temple proper. Let's say he'll have a little ante-room, a little meeting room where the deacon will give the talk and he'll tell you to turn your cell phone off and all that stuff. But then, you know, he should also tell you that, tell the congregation that they'll be expected to have a communion and all that stuff before they come, before they're invited. Generally, people are invited to the Mass. They don't show up off the street. So, now that everybody knows that, it's fine, but then he's going to give a talk. And, you know, what we've done is we've sort of given a, you know, simple set of statements. This is on page 23 of the book of what it's about, but Crowley says that only those people who have agreed to partake of the bread and the wine are allowed in the Mass. So we have the deacon say the Mass is a Eucharistic ritual. We ask that all present partake of a wafer of bread and a glass of either wine or grape juice. This is the recovery community here these days. If you are not prepared to consume the Eucharist, we thank you for coming and ask that you leave, respectfully ask that you leave at this time. In other words, no blame, but we're doing a magical ritual here. Hello, are you either going to participate or not? If you're not, leave with our thanks for coming. If you want to come back and you're prepared to take the communion, fine. We go through the steps and signs. I'd like to ask you guys to correct your books. Well, actually, I've already corrected it in this, this printout. I gave the signs wrong in 2 editions, which is remarkably skillful on my part. I think I should be amazing to never have gotten that right. But we will have it right anyway. It's, I think the left foot points toward the right and advance first the left foot, then the right. That is a correction that we have put in this. The other major correction that I wanted to say is that in the first edition we were a little less, in the first and second edition both of this, we never made the statement that we're making in the third edition, which is that this is a 5-person ritual. We've somehow or other given the impression in the text that you don't need the children. That's wrong on our part. I mean, it's not, we didn't say that you didn't need them, but our experience wandering around in different areas, we've often had Mass teams or work with Mass teams in groups so small that if you had 2 children on top of the 3 officers, you know, there would be nobody attending. So we tended to do a lot of, you know, flying by the seat of our pants. And I don't think we made it clear how important it is to have the 5 children. And the Grand Master Sabazius is the one that kind of pointed that out to me in no uncertain terms, and he's absolutely right. So please note that. And so he demonstrates the signs. Then we have this thing called the striking of the breast. The silent is going to say, at one point in this ritual, I will strike my breast with my fist. Please do the same. Guess what? If you don't do it, if you're sitting in the audience, if you miss the cue, no big deal. All right? You'll get it the next time. All right? You're going to come to the Mass 3-4 times. It's as much work to be a congregant in this ritual as it is to be an officer. So I've seen people literally standing here like, you know, getting ready to like strike their breast and kind of looking around, and everybody is like nervous and the hand is shaking and all this stuff, and you know, all of a sudden it's, you know, half the people are dropping dead. Meanwhile, what is going on in the altar is totally ignored. Because again, people are putting the accent on the wrong syllable. It doesn't matter if this is all done perfectly. He can go like this, and then the next person can go like that, and there's no problem. You know, if you do it, you do it. If you miss it, you do it the next time, because you know it's coming. In our rituals, each one of the congregants is holding this. You each would have a copy of this. You actually do in this book, but you'd each have a copy of this, so you know you strike your breast. And again, you know, you miss it the first
Yeah,
time.
and our
no big
next
problem.
run is going to be the missile.
Yeah,
because
and
I
this is
prefer
really
that
a simple print job.
Yeah.
Kinko's legal size paper, 8.5 by 14, folded in half. You know, it's 24 pages, which is I think 8 pages of 11 by or 12, 8.5 by 14. They know how to do it, make it 2-sided. It's great, and they staple it for you and everything else. Now, in the new edition, we were a little firm about the communion taking place like this. Not the communion, but the adoration section of it's in there anyway, you'll see it. And a lot of groups, including us in New York, had done it with our hands extended, touching hands like this. You know, either like this or like this,
for
either
the flame
clasping.
of adoration.
And then to the obelisk as well, on the other side.
Pardon me?
And to the obelisk as well on either side, so the person sitting here would touch the obelisk.
Oh,
and so it
no,
forms a circle
we
all the
never
way
actually touched this, but that's a thought. I mean, I never heard that, but
We've done that before.
okay, that's cool. Or you can do it like this. This is what a lot of people, you know, the line is, I don't want to sit and do it with a homeless guy. And my question is, why is the homeless guy at the Mass? But, you know, to deal with the issue of homelessness, people are going like this a lot. We kind of like them touching their hands together because it just is a sense of community, and the people, you know, make a little bit of a horseshoe like you guys that were here would kind of move in a little bit and touch each other's hands. And then
It depends on a lot of different things, though.
Right.
The size of a temple, the amount of people that you've got,
Right.
the deal of, you know, so it's not.
6 of one, half a dozen
Somewhere in
of
the
the other.
middle that we've done too is have the deacon and the children join hands, and the rest of the congregation didn't necessarily do that, but, you know.
What do you mean?
Just having the deacon and the 2 children, having them do that, but not necessarily the rest of the congregation.
No, that
way-
contradicts the script. It says at the last circumambulation, they leave him, this is the deacon and the children, and go to the place between the font and the small altar, where they kneel in adoration, their hands joined palm to palm and raised above their heads. All imitate this motion. All.
Yeah, I mean, everyone else would be in the flame of adoration.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But the deacon and the children would be joining
Okay.
their hands.
Well,
They
that's,
don't just
you know, those are the kind of variations that this thing is not, this is not a class, Liber 15 is not a Class A document. So that's a nice touch.
I do like it with everyone.
So do I.
Because I think it really, it changes things, it does connect things if you're in a temple space, that's.
Right, if you're holding hands, the whole point
Practical.
of like a group adoration, so to speak, the holding of the hands is a nice part. Have you ever been to a mass, Harper?
Oh, lots of times.
Oh, okay, okay.
I think there's something to be said about the flame of adoration too,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then, since it's individual, some people don't choose to participate.
Well, that would be his responsibility, the deacon's responsibility to sort of, not force them, because you don't want to disrupt the congregation, but you are, in the talk, you're saying to them that you're going to make a sign, and it's either going to be this sign. What we did in the new edition, presumably, we added a footnote that say some groups prefer this, and the script allows it to be done either way.
Because there were some bodies, for instance, who were.
Uttering
they would
the
allow
people
someone who didn't want to communicate and have the wine and wafer the first time, they would get a pass on the
Right.
first time, they could come back.
Yeah,
We've done away with that,
Good.
because I feel like,
Because I've
if
never
you're
heard
here, it's not a spectator
answers my question.
situation, it's a participatory
Absolutely.
ritual from the first to the last mass.
yeah, we don't do the first time free.
I don't either.
We charge you for your first.
Because, like I said before,
First
in my
batch.
experience, the only requirement was to eat, drink, do this, make the sign, and the declaration.
Right.
Everything else was optional, but you're saying that the other stuff isn't
What
necessarily
other
optional.
stuff?
Kneeling,
rest
so-
of
some,
the
some,
So
some
the kneeling,
people,
all that stuff, yeah, it's
some
not
people don't like to
optional.
kneel, some people don't like to join hands, some people
Look.
don't like to recite, some people don't like to make signs.
We should
So
say.
Why are they here?
I-
Why don't they
to be
go and
honest-
watch a football game that day?
No,
No, I'm
no.
serious, why have them here?
I'm in agreement with you on that.
If their will is to attend the Gnostic Mass,
Okay.
they will do what is written in the Gnostic Mass.
Okay.
If
that's
they
fair.
won't do what's written in the Gnostic Mass, then Zeitlin and I are going to make an executive level decision
Okay.
that it is not their will to be at the Mass.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
it's
think it's-
very simple. We get to make the rules.
And differentiating between, like we were talking about earlier, someone missing the breaststrike, that's no big deal because
Right.
that's actually just a mistake.
Yeah.
But willfully being contrary
Right.
to the
Okay.
ritual that you've taken the time and
Agreed.
energy to come
Right.
and consensually participate in, but not participate in this pick and choose kind of
Right.
thing. I think it's just disrespectful.
I
is.
respect that. I think
There's
that's
a
a good
division
decision. I
and a
just had never heard that
confusion.
before.
Yeah, I think
Right,
there's just
right.
division
No,
and
it's
confusion
very-
on their end with that. We're not divided or confused here, though.
A lot of people mistake doing what you will for doing what you want.
We'll do what you
And,
want.
and
That's
the
first
fact
thing I
of the
would say.
matter is, this is a sacred ritual. People are invited here to participate because they're invited. It's invitation, and if they're here, we're here to respect what we're doing, and if they're not, then they don't belong here. We say when it's time to communicate, I direct you all to stand and move one at a time to the bottom of the steps. You'll be handed a cake and a goblet and continue around back to your seat. You may consume the elements as you walk or wait till you return to your place. Finish eating and drinking, remain standing, cross your hands over your chest and proclaim there is no part of me that is not of the gods. Okay.
I do have one question.
Sure.
What about our Canadian brethren? I've heard they have a problem with the double negative. Instead of there's no part of me that is not of the gods, they like to say every part of me is of the gods.
No,
Have you come across that?
I have not come across it, and I think that there's a point at which, if those people were so smart, let them write their own ritual. This is how it's approached, okay? We do it, he said, there are certain things we do correct, and you'll see where, as we go through this, and I'll give you a reason why. I believe it was a typo that he left it out, and I think if he were standing in the room, he'd agree with me, but he wouldn't agree with that.
No, I agree.
So,
I mean, we should get away with, or do away with an Oli Bard at that point, because it's antiquated language.
right,
Where do you stop?
Shifty chaos.
Okay, so we're not gonna go over, let's say if we turn to page 26, we're not gonna go over the furnishings of the temple. Seems like, everybody keeps trying to get the perfect temple, and, we keep working on it as an order, and one of these days we will. Lots of different ideas come up, but, to my mind, this one might be a tad high and a tad narrow, and you know, the one that we have at another lodge is even much worse than this. So I've seen a very beautiful one in Tampa, in which the carpenter really tried to stick to exactly the way things are written in the script. He did a beautiful job. So we'll keep improving on that stuff. But you know, roughly at a glance, you know, that looks fine to me. Now, the priest bears the sacred lance, which Joseph has, and he is clothed at first in a plain white robe. Now, you will hear, and again, I don't want to, you know, waste our time here today, but we've had people talk about wearing kilts. We've had, don't ask, okay? Just don't ask.
Loincloths.
Yeah, we had one of those, the kilt guy, the loincloth guy, the naked guy. I mean, it's like enough, you know. Like enough. Plain white robe. There's nothing simpler than that. The priestess, Virgil and Tactor, are especially dedicated to the service of the Great Order. That's something that you can interpret for yourselves. She is clothed in white, blue, and gold. So you'll see Nancy's robe tomorrow, and you know, when you do it, you'll do something like white, blue, and gold, which is not green, yellow, pink. You know, in other words, there's
It's not white, blue, gold with leopard either.
right,
You know,
right,
it's just
yeah,
white, blue, gold.
right. Leave the leopard skin for a different ritual. All right. The deacon is clothed in white and yellow. He bears the book of the law. We, you know, have a white robe with a yellow chasuble, which can be, you know, some kind of whatever. But white and gold is what it is, so you do it, that's all. 2 children clothed in white and black. We interpret this to mean that the negative child, the one holding the water, which we prefer to have a female, and the male child holding the fire, you know, wearing a white robe and you wearing a black robe. But we've seen people have some beautiful designs where people will wear like a white sash on a black robe or a black sash on a white robe. All very pretty. I mean, and we've seen them wearing the same robe, white and black, which is also very pretty. It's whatever turns you on. We prefer white and black, but that's just us. And ideally, I mean, realistically, when the order grows to a point that we should be at almost now, we'll actually have kids. And Satra did it, I think, when he was 8 years old or something, with a little girl that was also 8 years old, and they were the children. It was beautiful.
Now, how would that work with the priestess on the altar? Will she disrobe at that point if we actually have children who are playing the roles of children?
We had, the priestess was certainly disrobed at that time, okay? The reason that we say that children should not be exposed to nudity is only because of the laws, okay? If you're living, we were in New York. I mean, in New York, no one could care, okay? Today, in Atlanta, you guys know the local laws better than we do. If you think, we were told, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, he's a very smart guy. And I said, yeah, we had this priestess and naked and children and all that stuff. And he said, you had nudity in a temple with children? I said, that's part of the ritual, you know. And he said, what about people who come to see it? Well, everybody knows everybody, they're invited. So what about the one who goes back to the office the next day, sitting around the coffee machine and says, oh yeah, and then we saw that it went this beautiful ritual, it's just great, nudity, children, and then all of a sudden says it to a co-worker, you're living in a Bible Belt type area, and suddenly the local sheriff is at your door. That's the only reason, okay? And I think it's definitely up to the local body, the local community, and the parents, and you know, the officers. We won't serve. What we don't do, we also make a point in here in the script that we don't serve wine to pregnant women. You know, again, it's for legal and health reasons and karma. But, you know, I mean, it's not exactly our decision to make whether a pregnant woman drinks wine or not. So, you know, these are things you write in a book and you take with a certain grain of salt.
I just want to say from experience, I remember, you know, those times well, you know, being a kid and seeing, you know, the naked priestess on the altar. It was a very positive thing for me. It really enhanced my understanding of sexuality and magic and all those things. It was a very good thing for me.
Yeah. Plus, it was great being a young kid and seeing naked babes.
Yeah. Well, who's not to say that's how you should grow up? I mean, you know what I mean? It's a good way to grow up.
All right, now, all right, so we're gonna start. Okay. You're gonna pretend that you're behind the door, okay? And we have a problem. Now, let's see, which way are they gonna wind up? Which is gonna be here? The girl? Oh, boy, wait, stop. It's not rocket science. It's written right here. See, every question, for the most part, is solved here. All right, so all right, let's see. The negative child on her left. All right, so the girl is here.
Yeah, that was the dilemma I was talking about with entering this temple, the way it's set up, entering from that side.
Okay, fair enough, no dilemma. These things are all worked out by choreography. So let's figure out.
Positive child entering first,
Pardon me?
like the positive child entering first.
No, that violates the script.
Okay, so.
See, we're trying, look, can we stop for a minute?
Sure.
Let me be the deacon, all right, for a minute? Okay. You come in, all right, go to your station here. You come in, go to your station here, stop, and you come in and you walk around here. Walk between, there you go. And go over to there. Does that work?
Well, except that the kid should be in line with her.
Oh, I'm sorry, and then come forward. All right, so then what you're gonna do is you're gonna back up. Again, I'm touching all you guys, we've been doing this all day, so don't get uptight. You're gonna back up here, and then she's gonna come in, he's gonna scoot around me, or I may even have to back off. This is a small temple. I can't leave this here, so I can't make much more room here, so I might back off a hair, okay, and let you walk by. All right, ideally.
Can I ask
Yes.
a question? Does it violate the script if we walk around behind the water altar? Behind the negative altar? If we do that and she walks first, I follow and he follows and we're automatically in the right place.
Say it again.
Instead,
Go ahead, you walk, just walk it through. You're gonna be the third. I'm gonna be,
I was going to say that.
you go first, you go second, I'm going third.
But the way they enter is.
But see, if we go like this, we're going counterclockwise,
True.
so we're not.
Does it say any,
That is true.
but does it say?
but it doesn't say anything about that. That, you know what, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. This is good. Try this, try it again. This is for this room. This is not for the way things are gonna be if you had a different room.
Right.
But let's say for this room, it's a nice way to do it. So I'm the deacon, we're Thelemites, so counter and clockwise are both fine. But I think the one thing I didn't say is, in the way that we do the Mass, the deacon is the one who admits them. Now, there's a doorkeeper, presumably if you have a well-attended Mass, like with this many people, Zeitlin might appoint a doorkeeper to help him get the people in the temple, right? But for admitting the priestess and the children, I would come here as the deacon and open the door for them. Then go back to my station here and then let the doorkeeper close it. I think it's more respectful to the officers to have you be the one to bring them in. All right, so I'm standing here, go ahead. Very nice.
Mhm.
You go to the head of the class.
Oh, I'm not sure I like that.
We'll like it less later. Okay. Does that work for you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of doing that.
Okay. Now, you're going to be the deacon, right? Okay. If I could ask you to actually, we jumped ahead a little too far. I'm going to ask you to go back to page 27, all right? On page 27, because we had gone through the issue about letting the people sit down when they come into the room, what we'd like you to do is all stand, so that the first thing the deacon does, he opens the door of the temple, admits the congregation, takes his stand between the small altar and font. There should be a doorkeeper to attend to admission. And what we're saying here is all stand. So that when he makes the proclamation, when he goes up there, everyone is standing. All right? In the book, if you don't mind defacing my holy text, you could actually write that in. That was an error that we corrected in this thing. And then he will advance, bow before the altar, etc. And then on page 28, we had put all stand. We put stand and imitate him. We put that in brackets at the top of page 28. Please cross out that bracketed text. Okay, so that was an error, and it will be corrected.
Yeah, and I usually just, I admit the congregation, let
Right.
everyone be seated, get settled and everything, and then the very first thing out of the gate is all stand,
Good.
so that it's punctuated.
Good. Okay. Okay. So if you would, you guys go back, and you're going to do this. I don't know if today we need to go through all of this stuff. I mean, I would like to see you go up and do that part.
Yeah.
So you're going to go do that. I'm
So
going to
everyone's
stand over
been
here.
admitted,
Everyone's
is
standing up.
Settled.
All right. This is not a mass. This is not the Gnostic Mass.
That change that you were talking about is in this.
Yes.
Yes.
Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. I proclaim the law of light, life, love, and liberty. In the name of
Love is the law, love under will. Okay. Now for the deacon, people who are preparing to work the deacon role, I want to compliment him on the slowness with which he walked up, the presence of mind, the magical recitation of the words rather than, just reading or yakking. You can tell you're in a magical ritual. This is the first indication you have that we're in a magical ritual, not something that people come along and either they want to or they don't. People have heard and learned the sign from his introductory talk. They will also do it because, there's that little peer pressure thing. They're going to see him doing it, and they'll do it. Guess what? If they don't do it because they're new, it's not the end of the world. They'll do it the next time. Okay?
I believe in one secret and ineffable Lord, and in one star in the company of stars, of whose fire we are created, and to which we shall return, and in one Father of life, mystery of mysteries, in his name, Chaos, the sole vice-regent of the sun upon the earth, I believe in the miracle of the Mass, and I confess one baptism of wisdom, whereby we accomplish the miracle of incarnation. And I confess my life, one, individual, and eternal, that was, and is to come.